well where it talks about emergency management and actually points to my position in the order of succession. So some of the succession stuff is contextual and unique, but in this case, I think maybe we could try to integrate the two if we've already got succession. We could try to leverage that.
Yeah, there's two different parts of the city code on that are actually in conflict.
Yeah, I was going to say on 8.5, it speaks to the mayor pro tem and another position called an alternate mayor pro tem. So not that it goes to the public safety chair, but there should be an alternate mayor pro tem in place. Yeah.
But I think that like Paul was talking about that succession though, isn't that a?
Right, but this is
It's
our
ordinance.
It's just an ordinance for the city of Washougal, or it's not, doesn't come from?
No, it's city code, municipal code.
So is that in conflict with this then? Because these are our rules.
This alternate mayor pro tem escaped me and when I read through this. I didn't even see it. I saw the words pro tem and not alternate there. I don't know where that is defined anywhere. It's not in statute, I don't believe.
And it's not in municipal code.
So I will, I'll look to reconcile these various parallel provisions. I think what I'm hearing is if we can leverage the succession, order of succession around being the executive, that might be an appropriate thing to do in terms of chairing the meeting, and take a look at that, and then make the appropriate tweaks in here to make that happen.
Seems like there were some discussions earlier this year when you said council committees where that was taken into consideration.
Right. Yeah.
That succession was taken into consideration of somebody not sitting in a chair or sitting in a chair or something. I don't remember what the context was. But I can remember having that conversation of if John did this, but then he was chair of that, then
Somewhere though it had to do with seniority.
But what does succession have to do with running the meeting? I guess?
And I wanted to clarify that, that's why I asked.
That's the difference there, because.
Is it the same or is it different?
I think it'd be different, because when you're talking about succession, you're talking about, well, if something happens to Sean and he's no longer fills the role of mayor, then it's mayor pro tem, then it's the alternate mayor pro tem. But again, if it was, a meeting setting, what if Sean wasn't here and I wasn't here, who would be the next person? Well, right now, if we're going off of, which I haven't seen yet, then it would be Dave as the chair, or the person of the Public Safety Committee. But, or you are? Okay, yeah, okay, Rod. So I guess there's, we need to reconcile, is there a difference between succession as far as leading the city, or as far as the meeting itself?
Right, there is a difference, but I was only suggesting that we could use it in the other context. The succession doesn't mean you automatically are chairing the meeting, I don't believe. That statute doesn't provide for that, and I don't believe the code does. I'll study that some more. It just provided something we could point to and say, oh, here's an order. Yeah. Why not use that for chairing the meeting? Yeah. If it's your pleasure. That's all.
And I'm saying if in our code we have something called an alternate mayor pro tem, we probably need to elect one.
Yeah, I'll look at that. I don't recall seeing an RJD's. So that's interesting. Sort of sounds like that's supposed to happen right up front. At the beginning of the year, mayor pro tem and alternate. Does anyone recall ever electing an alternate pro tem? Okay.
First time I've heard the term.
Yeah.
It's definitely written in here, but
it's in here. But as you recall, this particular version, although approved by the council at a duly noticed meeting, wasn't effective the last steps that happened in terms of posting and publishing, and so it didn't take effect. Signing. So that was back in '06. However, the only thing that really changed was the order of the agenda, which we'll get to in a little while. I will research all of that, and I think I hear some consensus about what to do about it, but we'll have a couple of options. So then after that, the only thing I would point out specifically for you in section 3 is around points of order. This is 3.4 and 3.5. There had been some confusion about the ability of a council member to call a point of order around different facets of the conduct of a meeting, and we looked into that and reported to the council that indeed a councilor can call a point of order on it's statutory. The rules reflect that. Mayor will recognize that and call for that question, and then you vote on it right in the flow of the meeting. And then lastly, it enumerates the mayor's powers in terms of participating in debate, as long as it's not kind of taking over from the chair role, and that there's certain voting and veto rights that the mayor has. Those are all statutory. The next item is your order of business. And here again, we have a recommendation from the administration. Or if you could pull up that, go back to the desktop and pull up the spreadsheet. We looked at this a while back, and that last column is the order that of agenda that we're proposing for you, and you can see how it kind of compares. But basically, it has you set this order in your rules. It has public comments at the front, and takes care of that tricky little amendments to the agenda that under the current rules are down at the bottom. It doesn't make sense, so it puts it back where it should be, does consent, the reports, and then takes care of business, has an executive session at the end, unless it's an item where potentially there's action immediately to follow, where you would probably move it to the front of the agenda. But if there was no action to follow in deference to our constituents and guests, we would do executive session at the end. The only thing really to point out there is that there's public comment at the front only, not at the end as well. And in 2006, one of your specific actions was to add public comments, an additional public comment time at the end. So that's the item of significance in that recommendation. And I don't know if it'd be appropriate to pause for any deliberation on that.
Okay, hearing any objections?
All right. Wanted to talk a little bit about 4.2 and 4.3. As you look at 4.2, the mayor's going to prepare the agendas, you can amend the agenda. If something gets added onto the agenda, this 4.2 is pointing out that you can't really take action on something that you're adding because it hasn't been duly noticed. So you shouldn't take legislative action. Really, the statute would preclude that anyway. There's this exception around health, safety, or welfare, sort of emergency scenarios. And we would certainly guide you through that process if there was some kind of an emergency scenario. Probably